the left has conducted a coup in this country, where the left now will be dictating all kinds of decisions about our lifestyle and so forth. Now, to give this a little bit of perspective, there was a great statesman, many of you have heard of him. His name was Frederick Bastiat. Now, Bastiat advocated classical liberalism. He was writing about the French Legislative Assembly. He didn't live to be that old, by the way, and Karl Marx hated him, and he couldn't stand Karl Marx for that matter. But he explained that, when the law has exceeded its proper functions, it is not done so merely in some inconsequential and debatable matters. The law has gone further than this. It has acted in direct opposition to its own proper purpose. The law has been used to destroy its own objective. It has been applied to annihilating the justice it was supposed to maintain, to limiting and destroying rights, which its real appeal was to respect. The law has placed the collective force at the disposal of the unscrupulous, who wish without risk to exploit the person, liberty, and property of others. It has converted plunder into a right in order to protect plunder. And it has converted lawful defense into a crime in order to punish lawful defense, quote unquote. My point is, when the law is used in this way, the few plunder the many, like public sector unions, the many plunder the few, like the progressive income tax, and everyone plunders everyone, like universal health care. This whole notion of utopia that I've written a book about, Utopia, it's unsustainable, and ultimately it's inhumane. Centralizing and consolidating authority is required to replace dispersed decision-making with a command and control structure. And what's the purpose of this? The purpose is to coerce behavior in pursuit of a fantasy. That's not to say that knowledge and information from outside the central authority go without notice, as I've discussed before, but it's collected in a self-serving, haphazard, and incomplete way. To tinker and adjust, to torment and control, but never as a means to fundamentally challenge assumptions, reconsider policies, or disprove the utopian ends. You can hear the Democrat politicians today, how they justify what they've done to us. And how could it be otherwise, since utopianism rejects rationality and empiricism from the outset? It repudiates experience. It is said to be new, different, better, and bigger. Now, the mastermind, the self-appointed government masterminds, Obama, Reid, Schumer, Sebelius, and on, well, the mastermind relies on uniform standards born of insufficient knowledge and information, as we've discussed before, which are crafted from his own stereotypes and experiences and prejudices and so forth. And the imposition of these standards may in the short term benefit some or perhaps many, but over time the misery and corrosiveness from their full effects spread through the whole of society, as with Obamacare. And although, this is key, although the mastermind's incompetence and vision plague the society, they plague the society like Obamacare, responsibility must be diverted elsewhere. For example, to those assigned to carry them out, or to the people's lack of sacrifice, or to the enemies of the state, like insurance companies, who've conspired to thwart the utopian cause. For the mastermind is inextricably linked to the fantasy. Obama is inextricably linked to the Obamacare fantasy. If he is fallible, then who is to usher in paradise? If his judgment and wisdom are in doubt, then the entire venture might invite scrutiny. So this leads to grander and bolder social experiments, requiring further coercion. My point from the beginning, Obamacare is not going to implode on its own. It's going to get worse and worse and worse as they quote-unquote perfect it and quote-unquote reform it and quote-unquote improve it. Because what went before is said to have been piecemeal and therefore inadequate. The steps necessary to achieve true utopianism, they will claim, haven't actually been tried. It's an old communist argument. This is in Utopia, by the way. So for the individual and the people generally, this is dispiriting, destabilizing, stagnating, and impoverishing. And that's what's happening under Obamacare. Although all state action is said to be taken in the people's interest, the heavy, if not crippling burden they shoulder is the price they pay for an impossible cause, a cause greater than their own lives and liberty and happiness. Because you see, folks, you, the individual is inconsequential as a person and useful only as an insignificant part of an agglomeration of insignificant parts. He is a worker, part of a mass, nothing more, nothing less. His existence is soulless. Absolute obedience is the highest virtue, because only an army of drones is capable of building a rainbow to paradise. As I've mentioned before, and I'm explaining this so you can understand Obama's mindset, the mission of the Democrat Party today, where people are saying we have them defeated, Obama's poll numbers are low, we've got them on the run. They're never defeated. They never stop. There's also no morality in utopian deception and distortion to promote an abstraction, forcing the individual to behave in ways that are contrary to his best interests and destructive of his nature, attacking the civil society's ethical norms and social arrangements, and making commonplace dependency and coercion. Obama, his administration, his policies, Obamacare, rather than cultivating a moral society and individual virtuousness, whether through faith, education, or sociability, and building on the accumulated experience and wisdom of earlier generations, utopianism breeds dishonesty, not good character. It encourages ideology, not reason. It rewards rashness, not reflection. It attracts fanatics, not statesmen. And it's transformative, not reformative. And in the end, utopianism is incompatible with constitutionalism. Utopianism requires power to be concentrated in a central authority with maximum latitude to transform and control. On the other hand, a constitution establishes parameters that define the form and the limits of government. Obamacare was a coup. It was the final attack on our constitutional system. Our constitutional system, with certain exceptions, fewer and fewer, no longer exists. Obamacare has used health and safety and all the rest of it to destroy the individual rights and sovereignty, private property rights, and even issues of life and death are now decided by the government and not by the individual. Once again, Obamacare was the final coup. We are now living in a completely different world. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.